Comenzamos el bloque informativo en Extra News.
¿Se puede hacer un comentario, señor presidente? Como padre, creo que los padres deberíamos poder decidir qué vacunas reciben nuestros niños en lugar de las escuelas nos obliguen a hacerlo, o el gobierno. Nadie ama más a los niños que a sus padres. Gracias por esto. Y la guía que metió el presidente Trump cuando me ofreció la oportunidad de servir juntos para liderar el predominio energético de este país. Este es el momento que tenemos que encarar. En este sentido, es importante señalar que la Dirección de Protección Ambiental, bajo el gobierno de Biden, le dio una excepción a California para que no tuviera que pasar por el Congreso. Ahora el Congreso tendrá la oportunidad de eliminar esa excepción. Vamos a hacer todo lo que esté a nuestro alcance para ayudar a los estadounidenses a tener una vida más accesible. La edad de oro de Estados Unidos se acerca. Y si están emocionados por lo ocurrido en las últimas 3 semanas, eso es apenas una muestra de lo principal. El plato principal lo veremos en los próximos 3 años. Y con esto quiero dejarles ahora con Ultimatúm. Gracias por el trabajo, lo que han hecho con estas máquinas de lavar platos. Ahora tenemos que gastar más agua porque hay que lavar las cosas antes de ponerlas a la máquina. Pero también junto con la Dirección de Protección Ambiental hemos puesto bajo revisión las normas de determinar cuánto le cuesta a los consumidores finales cuando cargan gasolina a sus vehículos. Durante el gobierno de Biden, estos estándares le costaron miles de millones de dólares en impuestos a los consumidores. Así que vamos a rectificar esa situación para poder abaratar los vehículos. Y si me permite, señor presidente, bajo las instrucciones suyas vamos a trabajar en la negociación del Congreso de permisos para un puerto de aguas profundas, en Texas, para poder exportar energía e importar energía. Esto se vio estancado en los últimos años. Por decisiones burocráticas vamos a tener una excelente infraestructura en petróleo en el país. Expropiaciones se harían, aunque ojalá no tengamos que hacerlo, pero esto ayudará a reducir el precio de la energía en Nueva Inglaterra, probablemente 50-60% o hasta más. Hay quienes no consumen combustibles fósiles, así que vamos a hacer esto una vez que comencemos la construcción. Esto pudiera completarse en 12 meses o menos. Lo otro que quisiera que mencionara Doc es el proyecto de 635 millones de acres que Biden los arrebató del patrimonio nacional prácticamente. Han destruido nuestro valor neto, así que estamos restituyendo esto a partir desde esta tarde. Y si puedes mencionar los millones y millones de acres que están regresando al erario público. Por orden del presidente Biden, se había retirado este recurso tan valioso. El presidente Trump me dio instrucciones de revertir esa previsión. En cuanto a lo que está ocurriendo en Múnich, el senador Wicker habló del proceso de confirmación del secretario de Defensa, diciendo que había cometido novatadas. Cuando él habló de lo que no pudiera ocurrir, mire, Roger es un buen amigo mío, le he escuchado eso y Pete está haciendo un buen trabajo. Usted me ha dicho algo, déjeme averiguar, no he escuchado eso. Mi otra pregunta, ¿sabía usted que iba a decir el secretario Hexen en la OTAN? En términos generales, sí. Voy a hablar con Roger y con Pete. En cuanto a este consejo, hizo todas las formas de energía, todas. Se refería al poliducto Constitution en New York. aprobé más de 600.000 millones de dólares en aranceles a China. Antes no habíamos recibido ni 10 centavos de China, pero ahora son cientos de miles de millones de dólares que vienen de China. Ellos entendieron, pero el proceso terminó. Si no hubiera actuado, no quedaría ni una sola acerera en este país. Y necesitamos el acero. Hay ciertas cosas que son imprescindibles. El acero es una de esas para programas militares y demás. Creo que el acero va a ser una industria muy poderosa. La salvamos y la semana pasada hablamos de US Steel, está muy cerca. También la salvamos. Y ahora será un motivo. Los aranceles van a salvar a muchas industrias. Yo soy un poco supersticioso, podría ser el 1 de abril. Dije, pasémoslo para el 2 de abril, ¿saben? Eso va a costar mucho dinero, pero lo vamos a hacer el 2 de abril, ¿correcto? Correcto. El principal, el renuncio hoy de Huracán. ¿Cuál es su visión? ¿Cree que aquí intervino el factor político? Yo no estoy involucrado en eso, evidentemente, pero esta es gente mayormente vinculada al gobierno anterior. Probablemente van a ser despedidos. Ya se mandó la notificación a la gente de todo el país. Yo no sé nada de este caso individual. Pensaban que no había realmente un caso bien sustanciado que tuvo algo que ver injustamente con las elecciones. Y yo lo sé mejor que nadie porque soy una persona que más han castigado con las leyes en el mundo. Ganamos el voto popular, ganamos en 7 estados péndulo. Y realmente 75,000 trabajadores federales aceptaron la oferta de renuncia. No, nadie sabe cuál va a ser el número final porque últimamente hay mucha gente que no va a ir a trabajar, hay gente que se acostumbró de tal manera a quedarse en casa y estar disque trabajando. Así que no. 75,000 personas es mucha gente, pero les hemos ofrecido beneficios generosos, 7 meses de paga. Quizá habrá más. Es un ahorro considerable para el país. Queremos no solamente tener un gobierno más compacto, también queremos que sea mejor. Mire, yo acabo de firmar una carta, me pidió una reunión, accedí. Fue muy cordial. Hay muchas cosas positivas que están ocurriendo, pero él va a venir a verme. Yo he aceptado su petición.
Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, thank you for your incredibly strong words, which I echo and concur completely. Our friendship, our bond is ironclad. And we came here specifically to reinforce that. I also want to thank your wife for being a part of this as well today, and your entire delegation. The warmth of the Polish people is very, very clear. It is a privilege to be here, and I do want to emphasize that it's quite intentional that our first European bilateral is right here in Poland. The symbolism is not lost. In fact, it is intentional. We see Poland as the model ally on the continent, willing to invest not just in their defense, but in our shared defense and in the defense of the continent. Our relationship is strong and growing stronger every day. Poland, a strategic frontline partner on NATO's eastern flank. Poland, a staunch U.S. ally. Poland, as I said, model ally. Not only in words are cheap, but in deed and in actions. Poland leads by example on a lot of things, including defense spending, building up Polish military readiness. Yesterday in Brussels, we both talked a lot about spending and the need for hard power. Diplomacy is important. Talk is important. Negotiations are important. But ultimately, beans and bullets and tanks and helicopters and hard power still matters. Poland understands that, and so do we. They're exceeding NATO burden-sharing commitments, and we're looking for even more ways to partner. You mentioned joint ventures, strategic partnerships. We are open and look forward to further solidifying how we can work together on as it pertains to our defense industrial bases. We want to achieve peace through strength together. Deterrence, that defense industrial base, that's Apaches, F-35s, HIMARS, Patriots, you name it. The more you have, the stronger we are. The more we can cooperate with those systems, the more interoperable our capabilities are, the better. I also want to thank you and the Polish people for the outstanding support of our forces that are deployed here. We have over 8,000 American troops in Poland. I had a chance to spend the morning with some of those U.S. troops. We ran the streets of Warsaw this morning in the snow. I'm from Minnesota, so I was used to it. It was about 25 to 30 U.S. soldiers and Marines. Had a chance to talk to them while we ran and did push-ups. And I asked them about their experience here in Poland. And some work directly with troops, others work in military sales, some work in POW and MIA remains recovery still. Each one of them had nothing but gushing compliments for the Polish people, for the Polish military, for the amount of support that they receive, for the true partnership, for the eagerness with which Polish troops work alongside American troops. We've seen plenty of examples across the globe as the United States of America, or where you work with allies who sometimes you wish wanted it just as much as we did. That's not a problem we have with Polish troops or here in Poland, and we thank you. And we thank your military for the immense amount of support they provide to ours. We also, investments by Poland makes it easier for us to be here as well. Generous contributions from the Polish Treasury for infrastructure and logistic support for our troops to be here reduces the U.S. taxpayer burden. I know that's something that President Trump worked with Poland on his first 4 years in office. We will continue to do that together as well. The level of partnership, just to underscore here, is unmatched in Europe. The common bond between our forces is unlike others in Europe. We have a shared warrior ethos, which we talked about, something I'm emphasizing, we're emphasizing at Donald Trump's Department of Defense. We're ready, we're lethal, we're capable, and we want to reinvest the warrior spirit. We want to rebuild our military and reestablish deterrence. I heard the exact same things from you and from your leadership in our bilateral meeting, which is incredibly encouraging. No truer friend, no tougher foe than the Polish soldier. As I mentioned, we saw it in Iraq, we saw it in Afghanistan, and it goes all the way back to World War II in Market Garden. The Polish military has stood alongside America, and we stand alongside you. So thank you again for that robust partnership, for being a friend around the table of nations. Yes, at NATO, we are all friends, but sometimes you look out and see those that say we are with you when there are tough conversations to be had. And you were, and I know you will be. We look forward to leading those conversations and ensuring our deeds match our words. And your friendship is incredibly valued on behalf of the American people. Thank you for welcoming us. It's an honor to be here, sir. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję. Proszę Państwa, mamy czas na 4 króciutkie pytania ze względu na napięcie.
Now we have time for 4 short questions. The first question, Jan Piotrowski, TVN24.
Hexet, sir, just recently you've ruled out the possibility of restoring Ukrainian pre-2014 borders, but do you believe that there is a possibility to restore the border as it was before the full-scale invasion back in February 2022? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, sir. I think anything is possible. I, as the Secretary of Defense, have a specific lane of the portfolio of what America is representing inside these negotiations. So my job today and in Brussels was to introduce realism to the conversation. The reality that returning to 2014 as borders as part of a negotiated settlement is unlikely. The reality of U.S. troops in Ukraine is unlikely. The reality of Ukraine membership in NATO as a part of a negotiated settlement, unlikely. And I stand by the comments that I made on that first day in the Ukraine contact group. And that's for all the press out there who it's difficult for them to understand that. We stand by the statements we made in reality about the status of U.S. forces or or Ukraine's involvement in NATO and the unlikely nature of that. That said, I would never put constraints around what the President of the United States would be willing to negotiate with the sovereign leaders of both Russia and Ukraine. I'm not here to put a left and right limit on those discussions. We've been here just simply to introduce realism into the expectations of our NATO allies to incentivize the opportunity for that negotiation. So what those borders ultimately look like, sir, remains to be seen. And I think is part of the discussion that would be had between our president, Zelensky, Putin, and likely Europe's involvement in those discussions as well. Thank you, sir.
Bardzo dziękuję, bardzo proszę. Mike.
Mr. Secretary, are U.S. troops in Ukraine on the table? Vice President Vance says it is. And Panie Premierze, under what condition would Poland send forces to Ukraine as part of a peacekeeping mission?
Well, the President has said multiple times inside his framework for discussions of this, and I just want to lay out that these are not comments or statements that I make in a vacuum or make without direct consultation with our team. So President Trump's national security team, from Mike Waltz to the Vice President to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, we're all on the same page. And our job is to ensure that our Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, has the full spectrum of options to bring this conflict, bring the killing to an end. And my message to the Ukraine contact group was, I do not believe, as a part of those negotiations, that U.S. troops will be on the ground. You can say that, and I believe that to be true. I don't believe that's what President Trump has said. That is what he has emphasized, that this is for Europeans to resolve alongside Ukraine and Russia, and that U.S. boots will not be on the ground. Again, negotiations happen. The President has latitude, and what happens in those negotiations is his prerogative because he is the American people's representative on the world stage. There's no daylight in those conversations. There's no daylight between myself and the Vice President. We are collective advocates on behalf of the President. He reserves the right to have any option as he discusses troops and partnerships and investment opportunities and frontline limits. Those are all what President Trump will negotiate with his counterparts.
Bardzo dziękuję, bo negocjacje się zaczynają.
Negotiations just started. I would like to thank for this question. The negotiation which the President Trump chairs is just the first step. We've talked about it. Well, some thought that this is the finale, that this is the end. Well, it was just launched, and it is worthwhile, not only in Poland but also in Ukraine, across the world, to realize. And what just was said by Pete Hegseth, what will be the finale? It is to be seen. It is in front of us. What is for sure, we need to be strong and united as allies, and this is what we have between Poland and the United States. Poland has been doing a lot to support Ukraine. We've been doing that from the first day. Without the Polish participation, we could not be able to send assistance to Ukraine. 95% of hardware, humanitarian assistance goes through logistical hub in Poland, and this has been happening for 3 years. We've been securing this. We've involved our forces, which are protecting this process. We would like to thank our allies from the US, other countries, that they are supporting this transfer process and protection process of the donations which have been transferred to Ukraine. And this is the role for Poland. of the logistical support in many issues, rather than sending our troops to Ukraine, what we can do for sure, and I think we're going to do it together soon, to send our companies, joint venture companies, or joint venture partnerships to Ukraine. The companies investing in the defense industry, also using various capabilities to elevate the level of security of Ukraine and the eastern flank of NATO, developing these possibilities. If we invest in Ukraine, the United States, Europe and Poland, this is a great guarantee of security. I think it is also in the strategy that the United States is presenting broadly, and this is also going to be a subject of the discussion. So our role as a logistical support that we've been doing, it is very important. Without that, we could not support fighting Ukraine and the peace in Ukraine.
Thank you very much. Next question. There will be 2 more questions.
Mr. Secretary, would the U.S. consider lowering troops number in Eastern Europe as a part of deal with Russia, or would it consider giving up its permanent military presence in Poland?
Well, I will state definitively, as I did in Brussels, that America is committed to the NATO alliance.
Muy pronto, vuelve a escuchar las noticias más relevantes en este canal de noticias.